Okay, today we're going to talk about car buying. Um, if at some point in time you may want to purchase a vehicle, um, a lot of people do. So this usually is a pretty stressful situation when you go to a car dealership, whether it's a big one or independent one, a big one like Ford or an independent one, just one you see on the block. Usually, you have to do a little negotiation with a car salesman, and then you have to deal with their finance manager, and then they try to upsell you. They run your credit, and they actually run your credit a bunch of times. Um, and it's just for a lot of people, it's a stressful situation, and a lot of times you end up spending more than you know you plan to spend, and then they want a down payment, and if you're gonna turn in another car, you have to negotiate them buying that. So I have a workaround for it, and before I get to that workaround, I'll tell you things to be careful about when you do go car shopping at a dealership. Um, so usually the price, usually if you're gonna buy a new car, you're going from a dealership, especially a brand new car. You're gonna pay uh, more than the car is actually worth. That's why when you hear that once you drive a car off a lot, it depreciates immediately. It's like worth $5,000 less, and that's usually because the dealership has to pay their employees. They have to pay rent for the building. They have, administrative expenses. They have a lot to pay for, outside of the car. So they add money on top of the car to help cover their expenses that they have to pay. So that's one reason you pay more. The second reason you pay more or end up paying more is when it comes time to, well, you might not negotiate the car down enough. And second, when you go to the finance department, uh, they're trying to upsell you different things, I don't service contracts or I don't know, floor mats, just different accessories, low jack, whatever. But they're pretty much they're making money off of each sale that they make, because like maybe the low jack cost them $100 a year, and they're gonna charge you $300 a year, so they're gonna make 200 off of that. Also, they do that with the financing too. So say they run your credit and they come back to you and said, okay, we can finance you this car, and your rate is 5%. Now, what they don't tell you is that the bank, especially if you have good credit, the bank may have said that they'll finance you at 2.5%, and so they don't tell you that. They come out and tell you that it's 5% because they're going to take 2.5% for themselves. So your payment is going to be higher. You're going to pay for more for the car overall. So, and there's just a lot of little tricky uh, things that they do to make money and to take money out of your pocket and put it into theirs. So, one way to avoid all of that is just to come in already approved and not have to deal with their finance department. And another little side note is sometimes they'll be more willing to negotiate on the car price if they think that you're going to finance with them. So sometimes you don't want to let them know that you're pre-qualified if you do go in there, because in their head they're thinking, okay, we can take a little bit off the price of this car because we're gonna get them in the finance department anyway. So you can let them think that, and then when it's time, when you get all the numbers straight and they commit to, you know, what they'll do, then you say I got my own financing. Once you get, further in the negotiation process, so then they can't go back on it, on what they told you. But anyway, what I use to get um, my pre-qualified for my financing is Capital One Auto Navigator. This is right here. Let's see. Well, if you Google Capital One Auto Navigator, this site will come up. And all you do is, I'm not gonna do it right now, but you type in get pre-qualified and you fill out all this, um, and they are not gonna run your credit. They're gonna look. It's a soft pull, so you won't have that on your credit profile. So you fill out all the information, and they give you the amount that you're approved for, and then you go, you look at their site and you look for cars. Now, when you look for cars, let's say whatever. Once you're approved, it's not going to show it when since I haven't signed in and I'm not pre-approved right now. But it'll show you the dealer price. It'll show you what your payment would be, and they'll give you options between 60 month, 15 month, 30 month, 75 month, and I'll tell you your payment and your interest rates. And so you can, once you find a car that you like, and once you're okay with the terms that they have provided you, then you you just I think it says get offer or something like that. Um, you just click on it, print it out, and you take it to whatever dealership that this car is at, and then they'll you know um, they'll you tell them, you negotiate the price, whatever you're gonna do with the car, and then you tell them you're pre-qualified already with Capital One, and they'll run your credit, and then your deal is done. Sometimes they'll come to you with better rates than Capital One has provided to you. And sometimes I take those, sometimes I don't. Um, and another thing that you can do, but this is one way to beat the negotiating with the dealership when it comes to financing, anyway. Another thing that you can do, and I know some of my friends do this, they'll agree to anything in the finance department. But as soon as they leave the dealership, they'll go refinance it at their credit union. And a lot of credit unions have 90-day no pay programs or incentives or offers where basically um, oh, by the way, you don't have to put any money down either with Capital One. You can if you want to, but back to the credit union, they'll refinance your loan as long as it's within like 30 days or maybe 2 weeks or something like that. They'll refinance whatever loan that you got at the dealership or Capital One, doesn't matter, and they'll have a lower interest rate most of the time. And then basically you get 3 months where you don't have to pay anything. So some people do that also, but that if you belong to a credit union, um, and if you don't, there's ways to get into credit unions also. But yeah. So in general, that's that's how I go about getting financing for cars. Um, Now I wouldn't go crazy in this area. I happen to like buying cars, and I don't like selling them. So I could get in trouble financially if I keep buying cars and keep adding. Every time you get a loan, that increases your debt. So, if I was thinking about buying a house or some units to rent out, investment property or something like that, it wouldn't really be in my best interest to go out buying cars before I did that, because each car I bought would increase my debt and would make either it would lower my chances to qualify for the real estate loan, or it would lower the amount that a bank would loan me to buy property. So, you know, just because you can do something, doesn't mean that you should or is financially the best thing to do at that time. I'm not saying you can never do it, can't, but you just got to think of you got to fit it into your whole financial plan and just figure out if it's the best thing to do at that time, and if it's the best way to do it. Because some of these cars you might not need a loan to get, you can just buy it cash, and then or you might want to just apply for a house first and then get the car. But anyway, I could I'll get a little deeper with cars and certain type of car purchasing in the future. Um, but yep, that's how I do it. All right.